Nick Ladd, and I'm the creative director of the Glade Festival. I got down to Cape Town in 1991 actually. I drove there in a fire engine from London, which was quite good. And then got there and it was beautiful, it was an amazing place. And then came back to there a couple of years later, and they went to the first ever outdoor party in South Africa, which was called Stardust, put on by a mate of mine who was a mad German bloke called Marcus. And then about a year later, a bloke called Deer arrived with a box of psychedelic trance records in early sort of '94. And the first trance party was put on, and about a year, maybe 2 years later, we started just shaking our thing, doing little sort of free parties, little events, and they kind of grew and grew and grew. You know, you built up a following, and then we started Nano Records, which is a sort of psytrance label, sort of an Anglo-South African collaboration, and our parties just got, grew and got bigger and better production. We started bringing artists from overseas, and yeah, it was a killer scene down there. It was very fresh. It was good. And then at some point I met Luke Piper, who's one of the partners in the Glade at a stag do, and we just got like ours on fire. And then a bit later, a bit after that, I did the Eclipse party in Zambia for the total eclipse of the sun, and that was kind of a big production where we trucked a sound system 3,000 miles, 60k turbo sound rig 3,000 miles from Cape Town, and drilled 200-foot deep bore holes for water and brought in overhead power for the electricity in the middle of nowhere in Zambia for the total eclipse. 10-day party in Zambia. It's quite full on, and that went down really well, and that became quite well known. So when Luke started the Glade at Glastonbury, he asked me to get involved basically. So that's kind of when we first started doing gigs in England. I was there for the first time, but I wasn't running it in the first year. Yeah, I took over the running of it in the third year, I think. But I worked on the first one. I was part of the crew. Basically, it was a free party at Glastonbury. For the first 4 years, it was completely renegade. It actually wasn't even a stage on the licence. It was down as a cafe sound system, and we just totally rinsed it. But it's basically supposed to have a 2K rig, which is why you're allowed to have it till 4 in the morning. For the first 4 years, the Glade area at Glastonbury was the only big sound system that went on after midnight, which is why it was always so humping down there. It was wicked, especially after midnight. It's also because it was in the trees. It's unusual. There's nothing else like it at Glastonbury. And the reason we got till 4 in the morning is because officially it was a cafe sound system. So there was always a cafe there selling tea, but it's just its sound system was a 28k a turbo sound basically, and so yeah, that's how we got away with it. Michael Eavis loved it. He loved the kind of the free party feeling about it, because it was very kind of reflective of the early, the late 80s and early 90s, when the rave culture just started to get going in England, and it was all free parties and all warehouse parties. And so he really dug it. And then when we went to him with the idea of saying, look, could we use the name, he fully supported it, and said, and he really helped us out by going to the press. Obviously, it's someone that the press really listened to, and say, look, these guys are putting on a festival, it's going to be wicked. And that gave us a lot of credibility in the eyes of the press as well. And the reason we did it is because we thought that it would sustain its own event, and that there wasn't a proper underground dance music festival in England. There were dance music gigs going on, but they weren't the sort that we'd necessarily like to attend. They were kind of a bit more corporatised and a bit more, just a bit more mainstream in the musical taste and the way they were set up. Yeah, look, we were flying by the seat of our pants, 100%. We had no idea. I sold my house in Cape Town. If the first one had gone tits up, we would have been finito. But we just took a punt on it. We had a lot of amazing feedback from the Glade, but we definitely were sweating. But before the tickets went on sale, we were like, well, what's going to happen? And but then they went on sale, and they just started to. No one actually really believed it was for real to begin with, until Michael, because we had this killer lineup. Lots of our friends that have played at the Glade, like Aphex Twin and Square Pusher, and Timo Maas and Richie Horton, and all these guys that we become mates with, and we had this amazing lineup. A lot of people know this is not for real, And then Michael Eavis said, these guys are, the proper ticket, and then the tickets went really quickly. So we were really lucky in that respect, that we weren't sweating out right to the end. We sold out in the first 2 months. So not having a sponsor, I mean, not having a sponsor benefits you in some ways, in that it means the artists are very happy to take less money, which is because they can see it's for real. They can see you're coming from a place of just wanting to keep it real and make a real vibe, create an experience for people that is, community based, that is healing, that's genuine, that's soulful. It's got some genuine heart to it, rather than it just being about we're doing this to make money. No, the first one is always going to be extra special because it was the first one, and no one knew what to expect, and so it was. But then the third one was also amazing from an artistic content point of view, because it had really matured by that stage. So there was lots of, that's when we had the inflatable church arrive for the first time. We could go and get married and stuff like that in an inflatable church by a comedy vicar and all this nutty stuff. And then the low point was definitely 2 years ago when we had 6 inches of rain in 9 hours. That was hectic. There was still a good vibe, surprisingly, but it was hard work. But then this last one, just last year, just gone, was that we won the Best Dance Festival award for, and it was wicked. People loved it, and so yeah, no, that was a good one too. Lots of good ones, lots of good moments from this last year gone.